Hi, Jane here. Thanks for joining me. I'm a huge fan of empowering you, as are the speakers in our Go Big series. Have you stopped to think recently what you really want in your life? Do you feel like you were meant for more, as I had for so many years? What's the big goal that you want to achieve this coming year, or a fear that you finally want to get over? If you're ready to re-envision your future and launch your big idea, maybe spread your influence or get over a fear finally, then I invite you to join me and some of our speakers. We want to help you empower your mindset, build your vision, and own your dream. Stop needing to be right and let's do this now, together. Go to janeapplegath.com, click on Go Big Sign Up, and I will see you there. Sending you much love and success. Have an incredibly epic day. Hope to see you soon. Hi everyone, I'm Jane Applegath. Welcome to the Epic Vision Zone, where some of the world's most successful self-made women and men share their multi-million-dollar ideas, their high-performance habits, their visionary mindsets, and resources so you can hit the go button on your epic life. If your goal is to achieve outrageous freedom, then today's female epic entrepreneur is here to show you how. Allyson Roberts is a transformation expert. Founder of Outrageous Freedom, she is also the creator of best-selling programs such as Stop Shilting on Yourself, Painless Pivots to Power, and Unapologetic Power. She has been recognized by FeedSpot, a Forbes affiliate, in their designation of top 100 coaches in the world. Her book, The Magic in You, is available on her website. A cognitive behavioral expert, Allyson combines science with spirituality in her signature system called Personalized Science. Her work empowers people with tools that tame the bad habits that sabotage success. Allyson's passion to guide clients to find their internal power is both personal and purposeful, making her a highly sought-after coach, speaker, and business collaborator around the globe. Welcome, Allyson. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Jane, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much. And we are excited to have you. Now, diving right in, you have a very powerful and profound personal story that brought you to where you are today. Can you share that with our audience?
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's one of the pivotal points. I think we all have pivotal points where life takes us from one place to the other, and this definitely is that. So when I was 19, I was in college, I was in love, I was engaged to be married. I was living with my fiance in his grandparents' farmhouse that his grandparents had passed away and gave us the keys to the house. So we were living there, and I failed a pregnancy test and it came back positive. So that created a whole whirlwind of both excitement and fear. When I finally gathered up the courage to tell my fiance that I was pregnant, he was over the moon happy, and we were celebrating. He went out and bought champagne, and we had flowers and all the things. And then we told his parents, and his father was not going to have it. So he pulled me aside. He ripped a check out of his checkbook and signed it and said, you need to just go and have an abortion because my son's not going to marry you if you don't. And so I made an appointment. I went to the clinic, and I believe in pro-choice. I believe that women should have the right to determine what they're going to do. But this particular pregnancy was conceived in love, and I just couldn't. I was on the table actually getting ready to be put to sleep, and I just looked up at the doctor and said, I can't do this. So I left the clinic and I went home and I told my fiance a lie that I'd gone through with it, which I shouldn't have done. And then I was able to make it, I think, another week or two before morning sickness like really kicked in. And I was vomiting in the bathroom, and he came into the bathroom and he was like, don't worry about it. Don't feel bad that you lied to me. We're going to work this out. I love you so much. So I went to school that day and I came home that night, and my fiance and his dad had changed the locks on the house and I couldn't get in. So I was driving a 1978 Volkswagen Beetle, and I put they put all my stuff in a shed in the side yard. So I packed up as much stuff as I could and went to a payphone at a Hardee's fast food restaurant and called my mother, who is mentally ill, and asked her if I could come back home. And she said that was fine. So I went back home to my mom, and about 3 or 4 weeks later, she was just kind of watching me. I think she had figured out that I was pregnant. So I told her, and she did the exact same thing. She ripped a check out of her checkbook and she was like, you can't stay here. If you're pregnant, you need to have an abortion. And I was like, Mom, I've already gone down that road. I've already been to the clinic and I can't do it. And she was like, well, if you don't, you can't stay here. And I was like, well, why don't we just talk about it tonight, when I get home from school? And she was like, fine. So I went to school and I came home, and she changed the locks on the doors of the house. And she knew that I had already been through that once. And so, but that's the way she is. And so I walked to my car. I climbed in the driver's seat and I sat in the driveway and I was just like, God, I don't know what you're doing, but this is crazy. And I just heard this voice inside of me that was just like, go back to school, park in the garage. We'll figure it out. So I went to school, I parked in the garage, I slept in my car. It was the very first time I'd ever done that. I woke up the next morning. I was like, what do? I heard just go to class. So I went to class, and then this just continued for 3 weeks. And the whole time that this was going on, I was reading in my car every night Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So I would sit in my car every night and just close my eyes and just think about a life where people cared about me and loved me, and where I was safe and warm, because it was freezing. And then one night when I was really like losing it, like I was really about to lose it, there was a knock on the window, and it was a substitute professor that was standing in for our other professor who'd had a baby and was at home. And he was just like, Allyson, I told my wife that you're here living in your car and you can't do this. Like, it was going to be, I think, like 11 degrees that night. And he was like, you've got to follow me home. And I was like, I can't. I don't have any gas in my car. I don't have any money. So he was like, okay, well, just get in my truck and we'll figure something out. And that's exactly what happened. And, I have leaned on that experience my entire life. It really did mold the person that is Allyson Roberts today.
That is so powerful. And the wherewithal that you had at that young age, I mean, at that age, just even the pregnancy is enough to stop a young woman in her tracks. And then you had all of that emotion to deal with and all of these closed doors. And wow, that is is really powerful. And this is why I said at the beginning that your work is personal, and it's so profound. So thank you for sharing that beautiful, well, trying story. But the beauty is that what has come from that is what you do today, and serving others. So thank you again. It's that every time I hear your story, it moves me. It's
Thank you.
resilience. You are a superwoman. What can I say? I mean, look, and like you said, God, what are you doing? It's very, very powerful. Thank you. So moving on from that, then, what you call a personalized science. You've done a lot of research. Alice and I have talked before, and you've done a lot of studies. So what makes your signature system, personalized science, so unique?
Well, I'm a cognitive behavioral expert. So it is the cognitive behavior is science, and it works. The brain only works really one way, where there's an outside circumstance, and then we have lots of thoughts about it, and then we have lots of feelings about the thoughts, and then that leads to our action, which results, in which gives us a result. And so just doing the science alone, though, it works, but it can leave you feeling very robotic, and just isolated almost, from your purpose and your passion. So the spirituality part comes in working with the cognitive behavior, and it restores the core of who we are, the reason that we are here, the path of purpose, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes complete sense, because, like you, I really enjoy the science, but I also am a firm believer in having to tap into more than the science, because it can be so very superficial, in the sense that it gives you the facts, but it doesn't give you the feelings, or the release that we're looking for. So I love that, and I know your work is so powerful. I believe you said that the power in spirituality is letting go, and
Yes.
I thought that was so powerful. It's like you said, the physical is strength, but in the spiritual world, it's letting go. So it's almost the opposite. So the science gives us the cognitive, the brain, the facts, but the spirituality is how do we interpret that, but then to let go. So I completely. Did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, and it's not letting go like a Disney movie screaming,
No.
let it go, let it go. It's the letting go of how things come together. So the second part of that story about my baby is that I placed him for adoption, and it was a closed adoption. At the time, that's the only option for Georgia. So his parents knew really nothing about me except my first name, and I knew virtually nothing about them. And so when he was 24 years old, well, first of all, he was born physically handicapped. And so it was really difficult for me to leave him at the hospital. It was just ripping me apart. But again, and this is the spirituality part of personalized science. I turn to God, and I'm like, you brought me this far. Like, I really don't understand what is happening, or why this has to be so hard. I don't get it. And again, I heard that, that voice just say, Allyson, if you sign the papers, I promise you'll see him again. So 24 years later, I woke up in the middle of the night feeling like it was time for me to try and make contact with him. So I contacted the adoption agency, and as loving and kind as the woman was on the phone, she was just like, listen, um, this is like nearly impossible. You know, it's a closed adoption. And so I just don't want you to get your hopes up. So she faxed the paperwork to me. I completed it. I sent it back in. And then 3 hours later, she called me, and my son and I faxed our paperwork in at the exact same time to find one another. And that is personalized science. And that's how personalized science works. It's when the circumstances, find my son. The thought is, I really want this to happen. The feeling is hopeful. And then the action is, to do my part in it. And the result is that we'll be reunited. But without the spiritual peace, it could have taken years for my son and I to be reunited again. And that's why I drive it home so much, because the universe is always working on our behalf. It's just we have to tap into that source.
Yes, because it hears us both ways. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, yes, that is amazing and put so eloquently as an example. So it paints a picture as how powerful that is and why that's incorporated into your teachings. Thank you
Yes.
thank you for explaining that. So moving on to something that I know you're known for, especially in presentations that you do, because there's humor in all of this somewhere. You have an individual that you have created called Rita. And I'd love for you to tell our audience about Rita and how our reptilian brain regularly talks to us and keeps us stuck playing small because of Rita.
Yes. Good old Rita. Good old smoking Rita. And I keep this next to me. This is not a cigarette. This is incense, but I keep it next to me when I'm coaching, because when people start saying, I don't know, I can't, it's too hard, I'm like, your reptilian brain is talking. So we all have uh, sections of our brain, but we have the two main sections are our cognitive brain, which is our present now brain, and our reptilian brain, which is our past brain. So I could not get my coaching clients to understand, and this is like years ago, to understand that we are not our thoughts. A thought comes in, and you either agree with it or you don't agree with it. So, a thought could come in like, Santa Claus is coming to town tomorrow. And, you either choose to believe that thought or you don't believe that thought. And so the one night I was just in my bed and I was thinking, how in the world can I get my clients to start understanding that this brain is like a separate entity of us, even though it's so much a part of who we are. And I just got this inspired thing to just give birth to my reptilian brain, to call her Rita. She's a smoking, cussing, bourbon drinking, hellion who is just trying to save my life and sabotage me all at the same time. And so my clients I have them start naming their reptilian brains, and it's effective and it works.
I love it. Yes, because I remember you saying yours was, like you said, a drinking, smoking pain in the butt, putting it nicely, Rita. And so when you have that speak, there's certain things, I think you said, I can't, what are the three things you covered? I love that. When your brain says this, that's Rita.
Yeah, so our brain is telling us when it doesn't. First of all, our brain hates change. This is why, goals are so difficult to accomplish. It's also why, experts will say, if you need to lose 100 pounds, start with 5, because your reptilian brain can't wrap itself around big change. It hates it. And so the thing about this is that I'm so sorry. I lost my train of thought. What was your question? I'm so sorry. I went off on a tangent.
No,
Oh, the
that's
3 things.
okay.
Yes, the
Yes, the
three
three
things.
things. Yeah.
Yes. And so what your reptilian brain is trying to tell you to get you to stay the same is, you can't do that. And Jane, you know that you can't do that. It's so hard. I mean, come on, let's just face it. Like, it's so difficult. And, there's no way that you know how to do that. And it'll just tell you that over and over. I can't, it's too hard. I don't know. I can't, it's too hard. I don't know. And you can just stay in that cycle perpetually. You can literally, I have clients who come to me who are 70 years old and say, Allyson, I don't want to die this way. I don't want to go out this way. And it's just incredible to me how powerful it is.
Yes. And what you were saying is that in the past, way back, and one of the reasons it's probably called our reptilian brain is that it was there to protect us. Because in the days of the cavemen, et cetera, it was there to say danger, change is dangerous, or if you go in the woods, that's different, and it's there for a purpose. But what's happened in the modern world now is there aren't those dangers anymore, and like you said, the change stimulates the danger in Rita or the reptilian brain, and therefore it pulls you back. That's the science, which is interesting because our reptilian brains don't like change, but in order to grow, we need to change. But I love that. So if you say, I can't, I don't know, and what was the other one?
And it's
I
too
can't.
hard.
It's too hard.
It's too hard.
Yes. So next time, if you're talking to yourself or someone else and you say, I can't, it's too hard, I don't know that that's your reptilian brain, or whoever you want to call it. But it's fascinating because you start to realize how many times you say it. It's really interesting, really, really interesting. So thank you for that. I found that so interesting. So now, once we have Rita, what simple tips can you share with our audience, Allyson, that can help us to retrain Rita or our reptilian brains?
Yeah, so the first thing is to understand that the brain doesn't even like good change. If you're a person, you eat hot dogs and French fries, and not that there's anything wrong with those, and you drink a bunch of milkshakes and you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, hey, you got to change your diet. Even though it's going to save your life and you're going to be healthier than you've ever been, the feeling is overwhelming. And so what I have people do right off the bat is write down a list of all the things they want to change. I want to stop smoking. I want to lose weight. I want to gain weight. I want to whatever, all the changes that you want to make. And then choose the easiest one, the one that you think is going to be just like easy peasy. And then set a goal, set a time goal, and then observe yourself. Like, how much resistance are you in to even this like tiny change that you want to make? And how many excuses are you making? And how do you feel in the process of trying to make this change? Because what it will happen is you'll start to understand and see with just even this tiny little change, what is happening. We have to know who we are. We have to learn our habits, and we have to learn what is your reptilian language? What's with most women's reptilian language is, I don't know. Honey, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. Where do you want to go on vacation? I don't know. You decide. Because we're people pleasers, and that I don't know is if I speak my voice this person's not going to love me anymore, or they're not going to like me. So I'm just going to go along because I don't want to be left behind. Men have a tendency to be, it's too hard. So you just have to learn what you're saying the most often in your reptilian brain, and then start asking yourself, like, is it really too hard? Do I really not know? Why am I saying I don't know what's really going on inside of me? So it's taking like an inventory of what's happening.
That's a good way to put it, an inventory. Because what that does as well is it brings your awareness forward. Like I said, when you were talking about those three things, and then someone would ask you, and you would right away say, that's your reptilian brain, without you even noticing. But once you're aware of those phrases, or like you say, you take that one step and you start to realize, oh, et cetera, et cetera. So vital, and so because the baby steps are what will help us. Like you said, so many people just jump right in and they try to do everything at once, and then they fail, and then of course that's where they end up. Yes, absolutely. So entrepreneurs are always striving for success. In the entrepreneurial world, change is always present. What can they do when they feel stuck? Because I hear that so often, Allyson, in the entrepreneurial world. I'll say, what is it that, that's holding you back? I don't know. I just feel stuck. I can't seem to move forward anywhere. I'm getting overwhelmed. Well, see, I just said I don't know. Isn't that interesting? See?
Yes. And I can't. You also said I can't.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. So when they say that, what would be your response if they just said, I just feel stuck?
Well, the first thing, and people don't like to hear this, but there is no such thing as stuck. Unless you're physically really stuck, there is really no such thing as stuck. So the very first thing that I tell people, because I hear that a lot too, Allyson, I'm so stuck, I'm overwhelmed. I'm like, you're really not. What's really happening with you is that you have a dream and you have a goal and you want to get there, but your reptilian brain is talking you out of it because your reptilian brain hates change. So you're not really stuck. So what is the thing that you want? What's the big vision that you have for yourself? And then let's work that backwards into some tangible steps to actually get you there. Because the thing about it is, Jane, is that a reptilian brain is so powerful that it literally can take someone from millions to zero, and it takes someone from zero to millions. Our reptilian brain has to get on board with our cognitive brain. And the only way it can do that is for us we have to become the boss of our brain. So the more a person is like, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, it's a neurotransmitter that's being developed here. And so your reptilian brain will just be like, you're right. You are stuck. And every single time we say it, it's just reinforcing this neurotransmitter. So then it's like, well, what if I'm not stuck? What would that feel like? If I wasn't stuck, then what would I be thinking about? What would I be planning? What would my goals be? And people, when I can get them to that place, they're like, oh my gosh, I love you. Because that's when they can really start to move in the direction that they want to go.
Yes, so you're changing the recording. I love that. Because when you say that you're stuck, you're actually getting stuck in the stuckness of being stuck.
Yes.
Because the recording it's like those old, the old records. You get a scratch in it and it just keeps going over and over and over. And so you become aware that, okay, I'm saying that again. And by telling your brain, like you said, we have to train our brains. You didn't say did you say train our brains? Right. We have to train our brains to enroll them into our vision. That's a great way to
Yeah.
put it, to enroll your brain into the vision of, okay, Rita thinks I'm stuck, but I'm going to tell you, Rita, this is why I think I'm not stuck. And you start to play that over and over and over. And then that becomes the new recording. I love it. Yes. It's a
Yeah,
full-time
but
job.
you have to believe it though.
Oh, yes. Okay. There's the key.
You have to believe it. And that's where my coaching comes in, because if you, a lot of people, they'll walk around just like saying affirmations, or not even affirmations, but just saying things that they don't really believe. And then your reptilian brain is like, wow, such a
Mm.
liar. And
Oh,
it'll just sit back and let you do desperate things and just throw a bunch of action at the problem and making it bigger and worse. And your reptilian brain will just sit back and be like, this is amazing because you're not changing. So I am winning. This is fantastic. Um, and it feels so good. I mean, we all love to be busy. So it's like, oh, I'm so busy, but then we're not really advancing any. We're just staying the same.
wow. That is so insightful. We have to do an animated thing on this. I love that because he's like, yeah, I've got you. You're staying busy and I'm keeping you where you are. Yes,
Hmm.
so insightful. Yes, you have to believe. And I am thinking that the believe part is part of the spirituality. Is that, am I
Yes.
getting that right? Yes, the faith. Yes. So it's not just repeating it. That's important,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. And even if it's just faith in yourself, because I
Mhm.
have some people that come to me and they're like, you're not going to be able to help me because I'm an atheist. And I'm like, yes, I can. Just, you can believe, I don't care if you believe in a rock or believe in nothing. You know, so it's not religion. I just want to like make that really, really clear.
Okay. Right. It's a feeling within you, right? The
Yes.
belief, it's a feeling within you. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, now that we know how Rita works, or at least we have an idea, I love it. And so clever, by the way, of putting a character name to her so that people can relate and everybody can name their own, which is even more fun because I'm all about creativity. So I just love it. Something that you call a thought model. And I find this fascinating because what is a thought model and how does it work? You said something to me once you were in the real estate industry and you were selling houses and et cetera, et cetera. Just walk us through a little bit of what it is and how it works. Because that's really interesting
Yeah.
for
So,
entrepreneurs.
I kind of sold real estate as a hobby. I've always made people my primary goal in life. But one of my friends was selling real estate and doing really well. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get my license and try this out. So I was having this overnight success, and my broker came to me and she was like, what are you doing? You're driving everybody insane. You're like, I was like the number one person on the board, and these people had been like selling real estate for years, and they're like, we're mad at you, we hate you. But it's not my model. It's a thought model that I learned in college. My professor actually taught it to me on a whiteboard. But it's C as in cat, as in circumstances. T stands for thought. Feeling stands for, or F stands for feeling. A stands for action, and R stands for result. So when I would sit down with a seller to list their house, I would ask them like, what result do you want? What do you want out of this? And they would say, oh, we want a bigger house, or we want to downsize or whatever. So I would put that in the R line of the thought model. And they would be like, what are you doing? I'm like, you'll see in a minute. And then I would say, okay, so how does it make you feel? Like if we could sell your house today, how would that feel? Amazing. So that would go in the feeling line. And then what's your thought about that? And then the husband would be like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here. And the wife would be like, I just want to buy new furniture or whatever. So I would put their thoughts in the T line, and then the circumstance would, sell house. And then I would walk them through all of that. And then the action list, I would joke around with them and be like, so your action is, you have to hire me. That's what you need to do today. And they would laugh. But then I would say, okay, the actions are, we got to take all the personal effects off the walls. We have to paint, we've got to paint your master bathroom. We got to do this and that. If you do all these things, if you look at this thought model, we're going to get your household. And so down the road, when, the buyers would offer something low and insult them, or, somebody would come in and say something, I would pull out the thought model and say, remember this, like, don't get emotional. Remember this. This is the plan that we came up with. This is what's going to work. And it would just instantly calm them down, because I was taking their words and putting it in a brain frame that works and bringing them back to what they wanted, the result. And it would just, because there's a lot of emotion in real estate. People go crazy. They go insane.
Yeah. Yeah. People are very attached to their homes. Yes. Very attached.
Yes.
But
and their
that
equity.
Yes, equity, exactly. Their investment, their equity. If your children were raised there, it becomes very emotional. And that's why I think a lot of individuals get insulted. And of course, if the price is too low, but that is so powerful. Oh my gosh. Every realtor should use that, because it does become very emotional. Yes, I do. I'm not sure if you shared that with your team, but I love it. I love the thought model. So you use that in your teaching. You bring people back to the thought model. So this is what we established at the beginning, when there was, the emotion wasn't there, et cetera, because you're very calm. You get them at a state when they're just beginning to go through this process, whatever that might be. And then when they start to move through, whether it's selling their home or starting a business, et cetera, you go back to their beginning and say, okay, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm doing it. This is the process. I love it. I think that is so powerful. We need to get that to everybody, even in your life, for your health, for your well-being, for everything. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I think I love that. I love that. So you have a certification program besides your coaching programs, which are very, very popular. Tell us just a little bit about that and what that entails, because I'm fascinated by the fact that you do have a certification program.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's actually going to start in January, and it is where students that are currently in either my Unapologetic Power Coaching program or my Up Level program, they have enough of the experience as a student under their belt to know what that feels like. So I opened up a certification program to them so that they can come in, learn the backside of cognitive behavior, because there's a lot to that CTFAR thought model that has to really be drilled down, or people can get themselves in a real quandary with them. So I teach them the backside of the thought model, leadership skills, marketing skills. They have a whole packet of stuff that they can use when they are set free to go out and be doing this coaching, on their own. The social media post and the scripts and the emails and everything. But it is a 15-month minimum process with me, all the way up to 2 years. So they're meeting every week as a group. They're meeting with me individually. They're learning different personality models and different layers of trauma, and how one layer of trauma is healed and another layer of trauma is healed. So they're becoming very, very skilled very quickly in the, in the human experience.
Mm, that sounds amazing. And you will have information about that on your on your links or in your website. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
having a brain fart. Rita was talking. No, not really. It just sounds good. It's a good excuse, if you're just, not present
Yeah,
or you're
perfect.
thinking of something. It's Rita's fault. So it also comes in very handy. I love it. Oh, she's going to come in real handy. Okay, well that's great. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see that information. And now, but just before we go here, I have two last questions. I said, what advice would you give to your younger self if you could speak to that younger self?
Yeah, I'm actually asked this question a lot, um,
Mm,
and
interesting.
it actually makes me think deeper and deeper and deeper about it every single time someone asks me. But I think the thing that I would say to my younger self is, um, "You're not broken."
Mm,
Yeah, she
wow.
felt really broken, and she made a lot of decisions from that brokenness. So I think that I would really drive that point home to her that she is not broken. No, none of
Oh,
us is. We're not broken.
yes, absolutely. Well, this might tie into the final question, which is, if your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
Go big or go home.
I love it. I love it. Go big or go home.
Yes.
Find Rita. Go big or find Rita. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
love it. That's terrific. Yes, I'm with you there. I'm with you all the way, Allison. Well, this has been wonderful, so insightful. There is so much information here. I mean, really, Alice and I got on the phone and we were going on and on and on. And I was just like, oh my gosh, now I have to pick out some questions, just some questions, because I know that her teachings are very valuable to everyone. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, what age you are, what industry you're in. This information is something that will stay with you for a lifetime and change your life, because we all have baggage, things that we carry, things that are holding us back, because we don't want to use the word stuck anymore, because that's just a recording. So please visit Allison's information on her bio page. And I want to thank you once again for joining us here, Allison, because I know you've got so many exciting things coming up. And be sure to check out Allison's free 7-day webinar that drives into the mindset, plus her blog, and join her Facebook group, because this is a place where you can unfold and dig deep and learn so many things about yourself and how to grow. Because let's face it, that's why we're here. We're here to serve and to grow. And we certainly don't want Rita getting in our way, for sure. But be sure to check that out. And you can find Allison's contact information once again on her bio page. And if there's anything else that you need, please don't hesitate to contact me on my website. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath, and check out how you can become an epic entrepreneur at janeapplegath.com. This is the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success.